Thank you for participating in the Absolute Support Coordination New Hire Orientation. In this session, we will review relevant policies and procedures regarding personnel. Your trainer or supervisor may add additional material to this orientation. Equal opportunity and non-discrimination. Absolute Support Coordination ensures that all team members are able to enjoy a work environment that is free of discrimination. The company strictly prohibits discrimination of any team member by another team member, supervisor, manager, or officer on the basis of race, color, age, religion, national origin, ancestry, sex, sexual orientation, or disability. This policy and belief also includes employment decisions involving evaluations, transfer, promotion, and discipline, determination of compensation, and/or benefits and termination of employment. No employment decision is made on the basis of race, color, age, religion, national origin, ancestry, sex, sexual orientation, or disability. All team members, supervisors, managers, officers, and business guests must avoid any action or conduct, physical or verbal, which could be viewed as discrimination, including but not limited to comments, slurs, threats, derogatory comments, or unwelcome jokes, which are made on the basis of race, color, age, religion, national origin, ancestry, sex, sexual orientation, or disability. Discrimination can also include the display or circulation of written materials or pictures degrading either to racial, religious, or ethnic groups, and verbal abuse or insults directed at or made in the presence of social, sexual, or religious groups. If any team member believes that he is being subjected to discrimination, they should immediately inform the individual whose behavior is offensive that the language or actions are offensive. If the behavior continues or the behavior is such that the team member desires to make a report, the team member has a right and duty to report the incident directly to their supervisor, the program administrator, or the managing director. If the report is made to the support coordination supervisor, the support coordination supervisor will report the complaint immediately to the program administrator or to the managing director. All incidents of alleged discrimination will be thoroughly and promptly investigated in a completely confidential manner. Investigations will be conducted in accordance with the company policy and will include final discussion as to the disposition of the complaint with the individual filing the complaint. There will be no retaliation of any kind against the individual who has complained. Team members who are determined during the investigation to have discriminated against others will be subject to appropriate disciplinary action up to and including termination. Team members who are determined to have falsely accused others of discrimination for retribution or other reasons are also subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Questions regarding compliance with federal and state equal opportunity employment and discrimination laws or regulations will be directed to the managing director or the program administrator. Staff credentialing. The company will maintain written documentation in the employee's personnel record that the employee possesses the experience and educational credentials required for his position. The following is considered appropriate verification: current professional licenses or certifications, required education, including a copy of the diploma, degree, or copies of academic transcripts, required training certifications, required experience certifications, current resume, 3 references, 2 professional or work-related. Letters of reference must include the address and telephone number of the reference. Employment screening. Health. To ensure adequate status of each staff member and to ensure the ability of each team member to perform all essential job functions, a post-employment offer health screening examination will be completed by a physician or a registered nurse before the team member may begin work. Initial health screening is conducted at the company's expense and includes, but is not limited to, alcohol or drug screening, TB testing, etc. Team members will receive annual health screens, which may be performed by a physician or an RN. Team members are checked for the absence of contagious diseases and for the ability to function within the physical requirements of their specified job description. Should a team member's ability to perform the essential functions of the job are in question, the physician will have the final decision on the team member's capabilities. A tuberculin skin test is required upon employment for all team members who provide direct consumer care. Annually thereafter, a Mantoux tuberculin skin test is conducted as part of the health screening. All team members shall be free of tuberculosis in a communicable state. Any team member who has a positive Mantoux skin test for tuberculosis, in order to retain employment, shall complete an adequate course of therapy as prescribed by a licensed physician, or shall present a signed statement from a licensed physician stating that therapy is not indicated. A random drug screen may be required as a condition of employment. Team members are screened randomly and upon reasonable suspicion for presence of drugs and/or alcohol that may be affecting their job performance. All team members who may be exposed to blood or body fluids on the job are offered hepatitis B virus, HBV, vaccine within 10 days of employment. Employment screening, criminal history. Following a conditional offer of employment, new team members are required to undergo a criminal background check as conducted by a state of Louisiana approved service at the company's expense. Potential team members are required to sign an authorization to disclose criminal history records information form. The company retains the right to refuse employment to any potential team member who refuses to authorize a criminal history check. Employment references. The company will verify the qualifications and references of all team members, including volunteers and interns, as reported on the employment application or resume. The program administrator or designee shall contact at least 3 references listed on the application or resume. Reference verifications will be filed in the team member's personnel file record. Confidentiality. When we provide services to our consumers, we assume an obligation to keep in confidence all that pertains to the consumer's condition and/or affairs. This responsibility is shared by every person employed in any capacity with absolute support coordination. Team members are obligated to refrain from discussing any client or consumer or any information regarding the consumer with any person in or out of the company except as needed for the consumer's care. To engage in such discussions is a breach of confidence and as such is sufficient cause for disciplinary action up to and including termination. Information and materials team members may come to possess about the company, its activities, and its consumers in the course of your employment is confidential and may not be disclosed, whether verbally, in writing, or electronically. All team members are required to sign a statement of confidentiality. Personnel files. A personnel file will be maintained on each employee. Personnel files will be stored in a locked file cabinet. The program administrator is responsible for the security of all personnel files. Personnel files will contain, but are not limited to, team member's resume, application for employment, and/or curriculum vitae. documentation of employment references and verification, criminal background check, medical health screening and TB test results, documentation of current driver's license and vehicle insurance, federal withholding tax form W-4, state withholding tax form W-4, Form I-9 including 2 separate forms of identification, personnel action forms including at minimum the date of hire, department or job title, salary and benefits, name, address, and any changes to the above, a copy of professional licensure if applicable, a copy of any special certification if applicable, documentation of health status, signed policy statements, medical insurance application, i.e. from health insurer, life insurance application, in-service training records and or summaries, continuing education certificates or other documentation, orientation checklist, performance reviews or evaluations, any correspondence, memos, etc. relating to the team member's performance or employment. Personnel files of volunteers and or interns are subject to the same applicable requirements above. Personnel files are confidential. Team members and or volunteers or interns wishing to access their personnel file are to arrange an appointment with the program administrator or the administrator's designee during normal business hours. Team members or volunteers or interns are allowed to add any written statement they wish to their personnel file. Personnel files are retained for a period of 3 years after termination of employment. Probationary period. The 90-day period following the employment date is considered a team member's individual orientation period. During this time, the team member's supervisor will provide information and guidance that will help the team member carry out his job duties appropriately. Team members are encouraged to ask questions that will help familiarize themselves with their job responsibilities and work duties. At the conclusion of the orientation period, team member supervisors will provide a written review of the team member. If circumstances warrant, a team member's orientation period may be extended up to an additional 30 days. Completion of the orientation period shall not be construed as creating a contract for employment. Automobile liability insurance and driving record check. The company has established these policies to ensure proper insurance coverage for all team members that are required by law, reduce liability to the company, and to increase the safety of those team members who use their vehicles in their employment. Prior to a new team member being hired for a position where use of his car may be involved, a routine check of his driving record will be completed. Employment is contingent upon their driving record showing no more than 1 accident in a 12-month period and no more than 1 moving violation in a 12-month period. Team members who use their vehicles during the course of their responsibilities will be required to show proof of personal automobile liability insurance upon employment and again at the time of renewal. Minimum level of liability coverage will be $100,000 over $100,000. Spot check of insurance validity will be done at random, and any team member found not to have valid insurance will be suspended without pay until proof of insurance is obtained. It is the responsibility of the team member to notify their insurance provider that their vehicle is being used for business. Payroll. Quality Independent Case Management, LLC, doing business as Absolute Support Coordination, complies with all federal, state, and or local laws governing compensation. Team members are paid on a semi-monthly schedule, that's 24 pay periods per year, and will receive checks twice per month. A schedule of pay days is available by request from the program administrator or office manager. Mileage reimbursement. Absolute Support Coordination does not provide mileage expense reimbursement to team members. Team members who use their vehicles for business are responsible for logging and reporting mileage expenses on their annual taxes if they choose to itemize this deduction. The company may elect to offer a stipend in the form of a prepaid gift card redeemable at a branded gas station. This is not to be viewed as a mileage expense reimbursement and may not be issued regularly or in conjunction with any formal reimbursement, expense, or payroll policy. Orientation. New team members are required to participate in an orientation program. The objective of this program is to orient the new team member to company policies and procedures. All team members, including volunteers and interns, will undergo 16 hours of orientation during their first week of employment. The company reserves the right to provide additional orientation to team members if deemed necessary. 8 hours of new team member orientation will include, but is not limited to, confidentiality, rights protection and reporting of violations, emergency and safety procedures, company policy and procedures, ethics including advertising and solicitation. 8 hours of new team member orientation will relate directly to servicing consumers, providing behavioral health services and support coordination services, and delivering case management services to consumers. This part of the orientation may include, but is not limited to, training by the support coordination supervisor, the use of digital presentations, and reading material. New team members may also observe active case management or support coordination in the field under the direct supervision of the support coordinator supervisor. Orientation training is provided by persons with documented knowledge of the training topic and of the target populations. Cultural competency training is designed to achieve respectfulness of differences and cultural proficiency related to populations served. Code of conduct. The company expects all team members to adopt a high ethical standard of conduct in the performance of their duties, observing all laws and regulations governing business transaction and the use of company funds for only legitimate and ethical purposes. The company respects the rights of its personnel in their activities outside their employment, which are private in nature and which in no way conflict with or reflect upon the company. We believe that our team members have been carefully selected and that we can trust their integrity and their judgment. Absolute Support Coordination will not knowingly hire or continue to employ any person whose history or current behavior impairs his ability to properly protect the health and safety of the consumers. This requirement is not to be interpreted to exclude continued employment in other than direct service capacities of persons undergoing temporary medical or emotional problems. On-call coverage. In order to ensure clients have access to support coordination services to address emergencies and issues that occur outside normal hours of operation, the company will maintain an after-hours crisis call line. The call line will direct client crisis calls to a mobile phone that will be managed in rotation by support coordination staff on a weekly basis. Each team member will maintain a call log where call information will be recorded, including name of consumer, time and date of call, and client issue, steps taken to address client issue, and the disposition of the call. Discipline. Absolute Support Coordination requires compliance with basic policies and rules to ensure safety and well-being of consumers and other team members. Actions by team members that are not in the best interest of the welfare of the consumers, visitors, and/or other team members may result in appropriate disciplinary action, including termination of employment. At its sole discretion, the company may use the following progressive discipline procedure or any part of the following for disciplinary actions: verbal warning, written warning, and termination. At its sole discretion, the company may assess a team member's conduct or performance as substandard, which may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. In some cases, team member behavior may be so unacceptable as to warrant immediate termination. The following are examples, but are by no means all-inclusive: falsification or misuse of any document, insubordination, theft, intentional misuse or destruction of property, violations of the law, engaging in threatening, abusive, or violent behavior, harassment, charging for services not rendered, failure to maintain licenses, failure to report absence in advance of work time, or conflicts of interest. Employee compliance. Absolute Support Coordination has established a compliance plan that is intended to assure that all activities undertaken at work are done in accordance with the law and within our ethical standards of conduct. Team members receive training on the plan, including their responsibilities, and are asked to sign a Standards of Conduct form. It is the responsibility of each team member to report wrongdoing so that an investigation and action can be taken as appropriate. As part of the compliance plan, team members are required to report in writing to their supervisor within 5 days of arrest, indictment, or conviction of any offense. Other offenses, such as traffic violations or other minor offenses punishable only by a fine, should also be reported within 5 days. Internal investigations. The company expects that all team members will cooperate with any internal investigation conducted by the company. The managing director, program administrator, and/or designated representatives, or any state licensed representative may conduct these internal investigations. These investigations may include, but are not limited to, investigations conducted of another team member while that team member is on administrative or disciplinary suspension, cooperation with the grievance committee or its representatives during grievance procedures, investigations into any claim of inappropriate disciplinary actions, misconduct, illegal misconduct, and any other improper conduct of company team members. Refusing to cooperate with any such internal investigations may result in disciplinary actions up to and including termination of employment. Personal appearance. Personal appearance is a matter of pride and reflects on both the company's and the team members' image at work and in the community. Team members have the responsibility to comply with the company's dress code and to practice good taste so as to present a neat, professional image appropriate for our work environment. Dress and hairstyle should be selected as to not draw any attention that would harm the professional image of the team member or the company. The following are examples of types of clothing that violate safety, image, and professionalism provisions of this policy. These examples should not be considered exhaustive. Cutoffs. Pants, jeans, shirts with holes or obvious rips. Clothing with offensive, hateful, or derogatory images, slogans, or depictions. Jewelry that is large enough to cause a safety concern during field interactions in the community. Shoes that do not allow for comfortable usage in field settings. Expensive, large, or visually distracting purses, handbags, or shoulder bags should be avoided. Team member grooming practices shall make up a provision of sanitation, safety, and comfort, and shall not draw unnecessary attention to the team member or create a disturbance in the work environment. Additional information and policy specifics will be made available to team members during orientation. Team members who have questions regarding the dress code or specifics of the policy should approach their immediate supervisor. Attendance. Regular and punctual attendance on the job is expected. Team members must inform their supervisors should they be ill or for any other reason, will be late to work or absent entirely. Messages left with the company answering service is unacceptable. Absence without appropriate notification, excessive absenteeism, or lateness may result in disciplinary action, including termination of employment. Outside employment. A team member may hold a job with another organization as long as he satisfactorily performs his job duties with the company and the other job does not create a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. All company team members are required as a condition of employment to disclose any business relationship that might be interpreted as a conflict of interest. Once employed, company team members are prohibited from entering into any relationship which might be interpreted to represent a conflict of interest. If any doubt exists in the team member's mind on what may constitute a conflict of interest, he is required to inform his supervisor in writing of the circumstances and relationship prior to entering into the business relationship. Gifts and gratuities. Acceptance of cash gratuities or non-cash gifts of any material value from clients, family members, or from any members or from any persons or companies which Absolute Support Coordination does business is not permitted. Team members should courteously decline such offers. Solicitation of cash gratuities or non-cash gifts of any material value by team members is strictly prohibited. Company provided equipment and technology. Absolute Support Coordination supplies certain equipment and technology at significant expense, and each team member is expected to exercise extreme care and good judgment in the use of these items. The company will accept normal wear from regular usage. However, team members who are guilty of malicious and/or willful destruction or removal of company equipment or supplies will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Each item of technology issued to the team member, cell phone, laptop, tablet, computer, etc., will be the responsibility of the team member to whom it is issued. Failure to return any issued item after completion of usage, after an on-call duty, for periodic inventory, or due to termination of employment, etc., in good and functional condition will result in a replacement fine of up to $500 per item. The company provides technology, supplies, and equipment to team members for their exclusive usage for work purposes. Misuse of equipment, allowing equipment usage by non-team members, or using company equipment for non-work related purposes is strictly prohibited. Continuing education and training. All team members are expected to attend training provided by the company. Company-sponsored training is meant to enhance the skill level of all team members. Training will be held at least monthly, and while some will be of a voluntary nature, certain training is mandatory. All training attendance will be documented in the team member's personnel record. Your immediate supervisor will schedule team members for mandatory training. All team members are required to participate in the maximum number of training hours mandated by the DHH. Client relations, fraternization. It is important for team members to be sensitive at all times to the fact that they represent the company's clients, consumers, families, referral sources, partners, co-workers, and the general public. Actions of team members determining the company's image and ultimately its success. Team members must take that responsibility seriously. While it is essential to have a good relationship with clients to effectively deliver support coordination services, it is essential and imperative that each relationship remains on a professional level. Fraternization with clients is strictly prohibited. Any team member suspected of fraternization may be placed on immediate suspension pending an investigation. If the team member is found guilty of the alleged charges, he will be terminated. Smoking. Smoking can be extremely objectionable to clients, consumers, and/or team members, and detrimental to company routines and constitutes a health and safety hazard. Smoking by team members is permitted only in the designated smoking areas at meal or break periods. Team members who are in the community with consumers while performing job duties must adhere to all posted regulations regarding smoking. Team members must respect the rights and wishes of consumers who object to smoking in their presence for any reason.